Before we dive into this week's podcast, I wanted to let you know about our newsletter. In this newsletter, we include a study guide, which includes a little synopsis of our conversation, some key insights, questions to go deeper, and even some practical exercises that you can sort of work out and apply the themes that we discussed from the movie into your life. While the study guide is sort of the crown jewel of the newsletter, we will also share, in case you missed it, what happened on the last episode, upcoming releases, what's coming up on the next episode, one of my favorite Instagram posts, and even some coupon codes for the store or Confined Space Coffee, who's our sponsor. If you'd like to receive the newsletter, just visit menatthemovies.com/subscribe and enter your email. Look forward to connecting with you in the future. And coming up on this episode of the Men at the Movies podcast, we dive into the movie What About Bob? What if the fear that isolates you is actually the lifeline to the freedom you so desperately crave? In this conversation, discover how baby steps, sailing, and even death therapy shows how God can turn life's interruptions into connections with real community. Join us as we discover God's truth in this movie.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being. Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald, and today we are talking about the great 90s flick. It was 90s. It was 91.
91.
With What About Britt? No, What About Bob? But I'd like to welcome Britt. Hey, dude, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing well. We've been talking for almost an hour now.
Almost.
Catching up because it's been a little bit since we did Children of Men together. And so you've been wanting to do What About Bob for a little while now. And so I can't even say I finally acquiesced because I've been okay with it. I've had people that are like, oh, you should do What About Bob? And and for, it's Bill Murray, it's Richard Dreyfuss, it's like Piscatani or whatever it is. That's the gopher, isn't it? Punxsutawney.
Punxsutawney. That's a Groundhog Day.
Different movie, but also Bill Murray.
And around the same era, those were probably two of his best. If you think about it, they came out like right after the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that we'll do Groundhog Day at some point. I don't know how we haven't done Groundhog Day yet.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Yeah. So we are talking about What About Bob? Came out in 91. Like I said, Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss. And this is, we talk about, there's a movie that recently came out called Friendship that's called like this cringe humor where it's more like watching people in like these super uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie kind of feels like that in a little bit to me, but as we sort of dove into it and had our conversation and worked through it and prayed through it, I think, this morning I wrote a whole page of notes that came to mind as I was sort of meditating and having my time with God. So I'm super excited about where we're going to go today. But what about you, Britt? What about Britt? Why were you so passionate about doing this movie? Why are you like, man, this is an awesome movie. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to break this down on the podcast.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's been one of my favorite comedies for a long time. It was so unique when it came out. Like people got to remember in 1991, this was out in the movie theater. Like this came out of the movie theater. You didn't have streaming. You had a little bit more of the cable options, but this was just very unique comedy. And I think Groundhog Day would put him in the same sort of category, like not your normal silly comedy.
Yeah.
Like this was intelligently written, in my opinion. Like it had some intelligence behind it. It spoke to sort of the rise of psychiatry and psychology of the day. But you still had great writing. It was directed by Frank Oz, who, that's Miss Piggy, if you know who that, and Fozzie the Bear. But and Groundhog Day had an amazing director too, right? Reitman, I think, directed that one. But it's just really well done comedies, but not just, but done intelligently, and it had that very human element to it. It said something about the human condition. And as I got a little older, What About Bob sort of became in the same list of the movies that God really started to show me the kind of things that we talk about here on this podcast. Like this was on the short list with Pinocchio, which we've done, and Hook, which we've done. And, I don't think we've done Mary Poppins. We haven't done Mary Poppins, right? Mary Poppins was one. Mary Poppins was one of those. Like these were movies. And we did Willy Wonka. These are. It's like What About Bob was in that. It's like this is about the power of community to heal people, and that what people need is connection, and that's the theme. And the contrast, which we'll get into in the two main characters, but that's the theme and the contrast. That's the heart of this movie. And so for me, this has just become one of those, I just get something out of it every time. And I'm reminded of the importance of loving people and being in human contact with others, even though it's become increasingly not the way our culture works. We don't do it as much as we used to.
Yeah. And if you've tracked with us for any length of time, you know that any movie that hits on community is going to be close to Britt's heart. He's going to love that one. And for me, as you just mentioned, the tension between the two characters, between Bob and Leo,
so good,
is really, because what the movie sort of brings your attention to is their differences, but it's their similarities that sort of drive that, because they're both really narcissistic people in the beginning. One changes and one really doesn't.
Right.
And so that's why it's sort of like you said, the Groundhog Day is one of those that's, I wouldn't say has a cult following, but it's widely looked up to from a lot of mystical, I would say spiritual aspects of, this is a great story of whatever, it's just got these deep spiritual overtones. And I think this does as well, if you kind of dig into it. And as I was texting you yesterday after I watched it, I'm like, both these dudes are right in some areas and they're wrong in some areas. And that is the other movies that you listed, we sort of think of as kids' movies, Hook, Pinocchio, Mary Poppins,
right,
Willy Wonka. But there's a power to those quote unquote kids' movies. And especially I see it in animated movies where they sort of Trojan horse a theme or a message in that if you're looking for it, it'll wipe you out. I mean, Toy Story 3 will wreck you.
Yeah, for sure.
And, there's themes in, and we've talked about it. Moana is just rich with who am I themes, which are core to all of us. And what you were saying, Britt, is again, this movie, when you look at Leo and Bob, their core need is connection. Like Bob wants connection. Leo thinks he wants connection. He does. He wants connection with his family. Neither man really knows how to go after it. And so I want to jump in the first clip because we want to be introduced to these characters. And this first clip really does it gives us a good picture of who each person is coming in.
Right.
And again, because this is so well written, it's a show don't tell moment. So, if you're listening, it's going to listen just fine. But if you really want the humor, it's Bill Murray. So you get to see him, and just the acting is great as they show who they are in this. This clip's almost 5 minutes. And so this clip is from early in the movie. Bob comes in to set up, because he set up an introductory interview with Leo, who's this, recently published author who's about to be interviewed by Good Morning America. And so you've got this contrast of a guy who comes in seeking help with a guy who thinks he's got it all together.
I have problems. I worry about diseases, so I have trouble touching things. In public places, it's almost impossible. I have a real big problem moving.
Talk about moving.
As long as I'm in my apartment, I'm okay. But when I want to go out, I get weird.
Talk about weird.
Talk about weird. Well, I get dizzy spells, nausea, cold sweats, hot sweats, fever blisters, difficulty breathing, difficulty swallowing, blurred vision, involuntary trembling, dead hands, numb lips, fingernail sensitivity, pelvic discomfort.
So the real question is, what is the crisis, Bob? What is it that you are truly afraid of?
What if my heart stops beating? What if I'm looking for a bathroom, I can't find it, and my bladder explodes? Have you ever heard of Tourette's syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
Involuntarily shouting profanity?
It's exceptionally rare.
Shit-eating son of a bitch! Bastard! Douchebag! Twat! Numbnuts! Dickhead! Bitch!
Why exactly are you doing this?
If I fake it, then I don't have it. It's the same with the cardiac arrest. Oh!
Are you married?
I'm divorced.
Would you like to talk about that?
There are two types of people in this world. Those who like Neil Diamond and those who don't. My ex-wife loves him.
I see. So what you're saying is that even though you are an almost paralyzed multiphobic personality and is in a constant state of panic, your wife did not leave you, you left her because she liked Neil Diamond.
Now, you're saying that maybe I didn't leave her because she likes Neil Diamond, but maybe she left me?
Yes.
Ow. 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 Dr. Marvin, you can help me. For the first time in my life, I feel like there's hope. I feel like I can be somebody.
Bob, there's an old saying that the best psychiatrist in the world is the one right inside of you.
Yeah.
I can help you. Yes.
Thank you.
Bob, there is a groundbreaking new book that has just come out. Now, not everything in this book, of course, applies to you, but I'm sure that you can see, when you see the title, exactly how it could help.
Baby steps?
It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself, one day at a time. One tiny step at a time.
Baby steps.
For instance, when you leave this office, don't think about everything you have to do in order to get out of the building. Just think of what you must do to get out of this room. And when you get to the hall, deal with that hall, and so forth. You see?
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Oh, boy. Baby steps. Baby steps. Baby steps through the office. Baby steps out the door.
The reason why it's a great scene is because there's so much in it. There's so many different levels going on. What you didn't see is that when Bob comes into his office, he's immediately attracted to the picture of the family.
Mm.
He goes straight for it. And he guesses their names and gets them wrong, you know.
I'm really good at this.
But in that moment where he says, for the first time in my life, I have hope. You can help me. And again, it would be bad writing if the solution was bad, but the solution is great. Baby steps. Just take it. How do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's sort of, you know, I've given the same sort of advice to writers. Don't think about writing the whole book. Write 500 words today, right? Like,
yeah.
And then ultimately you'll get there, right? This is Plato probably gave people this sort of advice. I mean, this is old. This is just the way it is, and discipline and process. And so it's great advice, and it's cute. I mean, the book is fun and all those sort of pieces. But that moment where he says, "You can help me. You're going to challenge my thinking. You're going to challenge what I think, what I believe, and you're going to get me to a place where I can be somebody." That sets up the whole movie. That's why he can't leave Dr. Marvin alone, because there's something within him that says there's hope now. And but it's not in Dr. Marvin. And Dr. Marvin even tells him in that meeting, he says, the real counselor, psychiatrist, or whatever psychologist you need is in you. But that's something that Bob ends up having to believe about himself. And he does believe it about himself. Like, that's his job. He goes to school for it at the end, like that sort of transformation that he goes through. But it's such a powerful scene, because it's the contrast that you were talking about before is so there. Dr. Marvin is put together. He's calm. He just asks questions. And Bob is just chaos. He's just chaos sitting there. He's complete chaos. But Marvin doesn't react hardly at all.
Right.
And then you see almost the exact opposite at the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, it's Marvin who is chaos and freaking out and losing his crap all the time, where Bob is the one just going, well, maybe he could have some, do you really think, that medication is the right, like he's the one in control towards the end. Of course, this all happens in like 2 days, the most unrealistic transformation you've ever seen. But still, that's why it's good writing, that sort of contrast between the two and how they sort of shift those roles. But such a good scene.
Well, and for me, what I noticed, even as we were watching it just then, is how the first half of that scene, Leo is actually nailing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he's doing like, if I'm having a conversation with somebody like Bob, tell me more about weird. Like, I want to know. It's like, you just mentioned something, it caught my attention. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. Why did you just start randomly cursing in my office?
Yeah.
And then even the point of, he's like, oh, you're saying, what you're saying is you think she left you because she likes Neil Diamond, not because you have this laundry list of problems. And that's actually where he sees that. And this is where my curiosity, I would be curious one more step. Because if I'm looking at Bob as a character, I'm wondering, did these start before or after your wife left you? Like, when did this begin? When did life be? Because if you were married, obviously you weren't this way to get married. This had to develop sometime along the way. But he doesn't take that next step because he really doesn't care about Bob as the person. He cares about Bob as the problem. This is just one more notch on my bedboard or nut belt or whatever, wherever you're going to notch things these days. And then he goes and we get a really good glimpse of who Bob is. And we think Leo's there to help. And then that pompous ass goes over to the bookshelf. There is some groundbreaking book. Where is it? Oh, here it is. This entire bright yellow shelf.
So good.
You got, and even like, you charge him the usual fee and $29.95 for the book.
And charges him for the book. Yeah, charges him for the book.
He's like, he comes off as this gracious, hey man, this is really going to help you. Charge him $30 for this book that I just gave him, acting like a big, generous person. I really care about you. And that's what you get. You get a guy who's he is very competent at what he does. Mm-hmm. He does see to the heart of the problem. And what we see is he offers solutions throughout the movie. As Bob takes them, he might take them in a different way from what Leo intended, but he takes those words and actually puts them into practice.
Good.
And I've had interactions with guys that I've, to say discipled sounds really prideful and arrogant, but I've walked with, they've like wanted my help for some stuff.
Sure.
And I've walked with them for a period and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is working because you don't want to actually change. Like you kind of want me to just keep perseverating your problems. You don't even want to hear what I have to say. You just want to hear yourself talk and then yeah, that's why you're messed up. That makes sense. You're just screwed up. There's no hope for you. But what does Bob say? Bob, because he's seeking help, like he is desperate for help.
Yes. Good.
And that desperation will drive you to do crazy things.
Well, it's Bob believes a lie to a degree, but he's sincere and he's trying to live in truth.
What lie does he believe?
That's a great question because I had to think about this. But
you can't just drop a line like that and expect me to not ask a question.
But Bob, so Bob believes the lie that his isolation is working for him. That's what he believes. That's not what he wants in life. That's not his core desire, which is why he's a great character. So the first minute or two of the movie takes great pains to show us how isolated Bob is. Mm-hmm. He only has his fish, but I don't know if you notice this, he really cares about that fish. Mm-hmm. Like he wouldn't even leave the fish alone. So he knows there's some part of him that's seeking connection. Like I said, mm-hmm. he's drawn immediately to the family. And yet he lives in this lie that the world is a scary place. The world is gonna that's gonna
kill him.
He's gonna die.
His bladder's gonna explode.
His bladder's gonna explode. But his desperation, to your point, moves him out of the isolation into interaction with people. And it goes good and bad, right? You know, he annoys the people on the bus. The people in the coffee shop or the diner or whatever, he's waiting on the phone call. Like there's all these sort of images as a movie thing. Well, good writing is so important, but you also need the right cast. Now, it doesn't mean there can only be one person who could ever do that role, but you need a cast member because this movie could have easily been a horror movie. This could have been
Cable Guy.
This could have been a totally different movie, but because Bill Murray, and you see this in all of Bill Murray's movies, you just instantly like him. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about him. But when he was Scrooged or whatever, in every movie,
even a zombie in Zombieland,
just him. It's just this vibe he has. And Richard Dreyfuss plays the perfect, buttoned up guy who gets annoyed and has it all put together and is intelligent and has the right answers and then loses it. Like you got to have the right people to play these characters. And if depending on the tone you want, right? Would you see this arc? They switch places basically by the end of the movie, because even though Leo is with people, he's catatonic. Like that's how isolated Leo has become. Whereas we go from isolated in his apartment and doesn't want to touch the doorknobs for Bob to he's getting married. Like that's the ultimate connection, right? That's the ultimate redemption, so to speak. There's this, he has a family. And that's another reason why I love this movie, because as maybe sort of uncool as it might be these days, in 1991, there was still this idea like, no, a family is actually a good thing. Like just being a part of a family, a mom and two kids. And we see this throughout the movie where the mom kind of treats him like a kid sometimes, where, and
I'll be quiet. I'll be peace.
I'll be peace. And he gets a brother, he gets a sister, he gets these things. And my thing to kind of encourage people is, how many times do people come into our lives and we believe the lie Leo believes is they're so messed up they can't help me. They have nothing to offer me. But we live as believers, we encounter, I've said this before probably, but we encounter two eternal things every day: the Word of God and human beings. Those are the only two eternal things we encounter every day. Everything else is going to fade away. So when people, even annoying people, come into our lives, they are eternal people. They are made in the image of God. They require a certain level of dignity. God expects us to give them a certain level of dignity. And Jesus treated people this way, which is why he's so inspiring in the Gospels. It's because we see, and the disciples didn't understand it. Joe, just send the kids away. No. They have value to me. In fact, unless you become like Bob, like a child, you can't get this. Like, you need to understand what the children can teach you. Again, that sort of attitude that if, and I'm going to tell a little story and then we can move on. But when I was in Korea, I was a missionary. I was a missionary teacher. I was a professional Christian. No, I was a missionary teacher, and I ran a ministry to the military called the Hospitality House. And I got to know people and loved on people and believed in stuff. And God was teaching me things. And there was a chaplain. I'm not going to say his name. There was a chaplain who was going through a hard time. And we got together and we started talking. And I was going, what's going on, man? And I started giving him great solutions, I'm sure. And he looked at wisdom. And he looked at me and he said, man, I don't need a minister. I need a friend. And something in me went, ooh, what have I done?
Yeah.
I know the Bible. I had all the right answers. I had they weren't even cliches, baby steps, whatever. This good stuff.
Right.
Good questions to ask. But what he wanted was someone to sit with him. Weep with those who weep. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Like, he needed connection. because as a chaplain, he probably felt disconnected, like he couldn't be vulnerable with people. And so he was looking for someone he could be vulnerable with. And I went, that's not, I gave him the Bible, but that's, in a sense, that wasn't what he needed. That wasn't the part of the Bible he needed. What he needed was the Bible that said, weep with those who weep. That's the part of the Bible he needed. And I wasn't sensitive enough to that reality. And God taught me in Korea, what God taught me in Korea, that's why I love this movie and why God showed it to me through this movie, is I saw people transform. And what God showed me over my time in Korea was it wasn't the Bible studies or the worship, it was the community that transformed people. And that's what, so to me, that's why this movie has a lot of value, you know?
Yeah. And when I look at both of these characters, what I heard you saying, Britt, was that it's his fear is keeping him from that connection.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's what phobia is. It's fear. And he has multiple fears, and that fear is what keeps him from connecting with people. Well, Leo has a fear.
That's right.
We don't really know what it is, but even as you were saying about what is it that's keeping, he saw Bob as a less than. Bob wasn't a dude from Lake Winnipesaukee. I think that was it, right?
That's the right one. Yeah.
Can you spell it? But he sees Bob as a taker. And so he wants to protect his family from being taken, which I think we did that movie already, Liam Neeson.
That's a good one.
But he was like, he saw Bob as take. And so he wanted to prevent it. And by the way, boundaries are healthy.
Absolutely.
And again, he is correct. Leo is correct. Boundaries are healthy. You shouldn't be seeing patients over, the Labor Day month.
You shouldn't pretend to kill yourself just to get attention. Okay. That is messed up. Okay.
Right. Both guys are they're right and they're wrong, just like us. Like you were just saying with your dude, and I've done the same thing. I was like, dude, I feel like I need to tell you this. And it just pissed him off and made him walk away. And the thing that I'm trying to practice these days is this idea of it's dangerous to offer answers without questions.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not asking for an answer, if they're not asking a question, and I'm just offering answers when there are no questions, I'm actually doing more damage. So as you mentioned, Bob, he fakes his own suicide so that he can figure out where Dr. Leo is. And he gets off the bus up there at Lake Winnipesaukee. Does he go around asking, hey, do you know where Leo Marvin? No, he just stands in the middle of the place basically paging Dr. Leo Marvin in this small village in New Hampshire. And shockingly, it works. But they have this conversation, which this is sort of this is where the friction is really starting to grind on Leo. Because he's like, oh, this guy was calling me. He shouldn't have been calling me. Now he shows up. I am trying to push this guy away when, from our perspective, as we're looking at this, Leo is the one who is actually in greater need of an intervention at this point because his pride is getting the best of him. His control is getting the best of him. Instead of sort of leaning in, and this is us. This is us. We have our plans, and we start making a God of our plans instead of a God of God. And God, in his grace and mercy, will frequently throw an intervention that in this scenario looks like Bob.
What are you doing here? I thought you were dead.
Oh, no, I told you. Well, I fibbed a little bit, but don't be mad.
Bob, your behavior is completely inappropriate.
You're angry.
No, I don't get angry.
Well, you're upset.
I don't get upset.
Well, then let's have a little talk.
Bob, I do not see patients on vacation, ever. How many ways can I make that clear? Now, what I'd like you to do is to get on this bus and go back to New York.
I can't. I'm totally paralyzed. I'm all locked up.
You got yourself here.
Barely.
Well, getting back will be therapeutic.
But can't we just have a little talk?
Bob, you are testing my patience.
Come on, I've come so far.
Bob,
I'm baby stepping.
Bob.
I'm doing the work. I'm baby stepping. I'm not a slacker.
Listen to me.
Check it out. Look at, I'm in really bad shape. Come on, please,
Bob,
please.
Bob.
Give me. I need.
Listen, Bob.
Give me,
Okay,
please.
all right.
Please.
All right, it's 2:00. Go to the bus station, buy yourself a ticket home, and then wait for me in that coffee shop.
You'll meet me?
I'll call you in 2 hours.
Oh my God, you're the greatest.
No, just you have to promise me that you will buy your ticket and go home.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do it right now.
All right, I'll call you at 4:00.
You couldn't possibly make it 3:30, could you?
Bob!
4, okay. Exactly, 4:00. It's better. Okay. Thank you, Dr. M.
Bob uses the solution of baby steps to actually get to Dr. Marvin. Like, he uses the solution and he puts it in practice to get what he wants. His goal is to get help from Dr. Marvin. That's his focus, which again may not be the best solution, but that's what he has in his mind as the solution. And Dr. Marvin, before this, they were in the grocery store and the family complains that their vacation really isn't a vacation. It's actually about the job. And so to your point, even though Bob does some messed up stuff and crosses some lines for sure, and gets away with it with the audience watching the movie because it's Bill Murray and he's just naturally likable and funny.
Please, I need, right? Please, give me, I need.
Despite that, what Marvin needs to understand is he does need an intervention himself. And that was a great point you made. And often when God gets involved in our lives, it's never convenient. I'm going to say that again. When God decides to get involved, it's never convenient. He's getting involved.
I mean, Gideon was just, hiding in a wine press.
Exactly.
Mary was just like doing something, and all of a sudden she's pregnant.
All of a sudden, I wasn't even having
Moses
sex.
is out in the wilderness and is like, oh, there's a bush over there that's on fire. And yeah.
But the reason why it's guaranteed to be inconvenient is because you weren't on the right path.
Ooh.
That's why it's guaranteed to be inconvenient. It's guaranteed to be inconvenient because you weren't on the right path. And in order to put you on the right path, he's got to interrupt your path. He's got to do something different. That's why the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Jews and the scribes were like, this isn't the guy we want. This isn't the way we thought this was going to happen. But I'm here to tell you, because I'm I'm reminded of this because I'm in the middle of writing. By the way, I've got this great new book. It's pioneering.
Groundbreaking.
There isn't one person in the New Testament who expected Jesus to come as he did. Even though they had all the prophecies of the Old Testament, even though they had 400 years knowing it was going to be 400 years, it was prophesied exactly to this amount of time. This is what's going to happen. The Messiah is going to come. They were all looking for him, and rabbis had discussed it for all those centuries, and intelligent people, when he actually showed up, they were like, well, this doesn't work for me. Right. And that's what Leo is dealing with. Leo is dealing with, this person has come in to save my life. He literally saves his life from choking. This guy is in my life to save my life, but he's just annoying. But he's annoying me, and it's inconvenient, and I have a plan. And I'm saying this because it convicts my own heart. How many times do I do the same thing? I have a plan. I have something I want to do. And then somebody who's, not someone I would choose to hang out with, God's like, spend time with this person. And part of this is, if we're honest, as human beings, we want to have relationships with people that we think we can get something from, that they will give us something. in the sense of like status, money, power. But that's not who Bob was in Leo's mind. What he could give him was a friend. He could give him, he could give his daughter a brother, an older brother. He could give, you know what I mean? Like he had other ways to contribute to his life than he could see in the moment.
I love that idea, dude, of it's an inconvenience. It's not just inconvenience. It is disruptive.
Yes. Good.
But that's because we are walking a path that we're going in a direction we don't need to be going. And the more I think about this movie, the more I'm like, this isn't about Bob. It's about Leo.
Yes. Good.
Right?
Yes.
Because yes, both men sort of transform, but it's kind of more of a tragedy about Leo.
Yes, it is.
Because he refuses to change. Like you mentioned, even when Bob does the Heimlich and saves Leo's life, Leo never thanks him. Like not once, because he's so cold-hearted and he just can't get out of his pride. Like it's about me, it's about me, it's about me.
He couldn't
when
apologize.
Bob does something,
yeah,
right. He doesn't even apologize. He just kind of looks and does a look. And I mean, that's kind of how guys did it back in the 90s. But
right.
In some ways, it's easy to do something for God. I'm going to plant a church. I'm going to be a missionary. I'm going to do all this money or give all this money or do all this work. Or and God might say, I don't want you at the soup kitchen every weekend. I want you at your kid's soccer game every weekend.
Right.
I don't want you going to start a church in Somalia or Chad or any, country that's out there that's difficult to live in and all this stuff. I want you to stay where you are and love the people in front of you. As my friend has gone through his journey and battle with pancreatic cancer, my plan was I wanted to go see him every month, every 2 months. Like I'm willing to do all of that for my friend. But that's about me and what I want. And that's not what he needed. Because he has a wife, he has 4 daughters. He's got a brother. He's got other people who need him. And he needs them. And what I give him was space. Because we want to do something, and sometimes saying, no, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to do less. Don't take that promotion. That's not a God's blessing. That's Satan's invitation to lose your life to your job.
Right.
But it either way, that idea, like we're going in the wrong direction and God provides an interruption in the form of inconvenience at the lowest level and pulling your hair out at the highest level of frustration and anger. And how do we know the difference? Jesus says you'll know them by their fruits.
That's right.
And so I want to look at, we've got 2 sort of contrasting examples with his kids. What is the impact of Leo as father on his children? What is the impact of Bob as friend to the children? So in this first one, Bob shows up at Leo's house at Lake Winnipesaukee. They sort of have this interaction. He says, oh, go take a vacation from your problems. Bob says, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm here. Might as well take a vacation. Not what Leo meant. And so Bob's walking down the road and Leo's daughter, Anna, sees him, offers to pick him up and give him a ride because they think he's kind of funny. He's cute. He's harmless. That's the way they look at him. They don't look at him as this narcissistic dude full of phobias who is breaking all sorts of boundaries and laws by being there. But so there's this conversation where they connect. And again, as Bob's stepping into his fear, like even as he gets into the car, he reaches with his handkerchief. And he's like, wait, who uses this car? She's like, oh, it's just the family. And he puts his handkerchief in his pocket and grabs the handle with his hand.
Right.
And he's stepping into his fears. At the same time, Leo is holding on to his fears very tightly. So this is a conversation about the impact. And we see we hear the impact of Leo on Anna, and we see the impact of Bob on Anna.
So what's it like being the daughter of a brilliant analyst who's sleeping in the next bedroom at night when you need him? Is it great?
No, it's not great. I have problems the same as anyone else. The same as you.
You're afraid your bladder will explode? What other ones are the same? Like what? Like what?
Well, like analyzing everything to death to see if what I'm feeling is normal.
Yes, I have that, yeah.
Do you freeze up and turn into wood when you're around a good-looking guy and you don't even know if he likes you or not?
Well, not a guy, but yes, I freeze. You know what I treat people as if they were telephones. If I meet somebody who I don't think likes me, I say to myself, Bob, this one's just temporarily out of order. You know, don't break the connection, just hang up and try again.
And does it work?
It seems to be. I'm on vacation at Lake Winnipesaukee, aren't I?
Do you want to come sailing with me on my friend George's boat?
No.
Oh, that's okay, you don't have to.
No, I'd love to. It sounds great. I've never been on a boat, and I don't think I can handle it. It just makes my lips numb to think about it. But if your friend is a good sailor and the craft is seaworthy, yes, I will go sailing. Yeah, let's go sailing. I have no other plans. I'm sailing! I'm sailing! I'm sailing! I'm sailing! I'm sailing! I'm sailing!
Bob has no shame. He has no embarrassment. He's going to be completely vulnerable. He has every problem. So if you have a problem, he's going to relate to you. He's going to rate
all of me.
Like, how many times is he like? He doesn't even let her get done with her explanation. He just keeps saying yes. You freeze up, yes. Like boom, 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 boom. Okay, no, maybe not a guy, but yeah, all of that.
I know all of that. And I relate,
but
right?
I relate.
What Bob says, I relate to that.
I relate, but and I know we're going to get to. Anna doesn't get that from her dad. Siggy doesn't get that from his dad. When we get to the diving part, it's I don't get it. I love diving. Why are you afraid? Like he can't relate, or he doesn't, or he chooses not to relate for whatever reason. And let's just point out some prophetic stuff in this movie. This is 1991. Bob was working from home.
I noticed that.
Okay. Bob was
Which
working
was so
from
weird
home.
in 91.
And he had all the counseling you could possibly have, and it just fed his anxiety. I'm not against counseling. My children have gone to counseling. Okay. I'm not against it. But my point is that there's a lot of evidence that as we isolated kids during COVID, and we've given them, the more counseling we give them, the more anxious and depressed they get because they're not going outside. I know it sounds like I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but I'm just telling you, they're not going outside. They're not spending time with family. They're not spending time with people. They're on their phones and all this stuff. They're more and more, our culture is more and more isolated, and it's leading to more and more mental problems. And the solution isn't to force them to do something different, but to invite them to willingly participate in something different, into community, into personal interaction, into family, because Bob isn't forced into this. In fact, Leo would force him not to do these things, right? Bob is willingly choosing. She's not going to make him go sailing. But do you want to go sailing? And he has to choose to engage. And then it becomes a source of pride. Well, I just started sailing, all that sort of stuff,
I sail. I'm a sailor.
I'm a sailor. I mean, I just started today, but then
I just let the boat do all the work.
But that's the kind of stuff that our kids and our culture needs. Our kids and our culture needs those experiences, because they can look back and say, I tried something and my bladder didn't explode. But they have to willingly choose it, you see. But the beauty of Bob is he's immediately vulnerable. He's immediately humble. And so then when he does give a little bit of advice, she's completely open to it. Why don't we learn this in life? Why don't I do this more? Like, I'm watching Bob going, I should do this more. I should begin with, you and I are the same. I have problems. You have problems. You know, just because I have a spiritual gift and I write books, we're actually right here together. And Peter does the same thing. I don't know if people realize this in Peter in the Bible, but he calls himself a fellow saint. In other words, I'm one of you.
Right.
But you are the one who was with Jesus. You walked on water and you did. He doesn't show any pride for that. Maybe because he, denied Jesus 3 times and all that stuff. But just, he wants them to see, like, there's no difference between you and me. We have the same spirit. We have the same gifts. Like, we're the same and relating to people. And anyway, that's just a beautiful thing about Bob.
You brought that up, and I just had this picture of like this conversation that Peter would have with some of the early church Christians, and like, what do you know? What do you know about my problems? I'm facing persecution. I'm this and that. He's like, you may not know this story, but if you feel bad about yourself, I sort of denied him to his face. And you know what he did? He forgave me. He came back for me.
He restored me.
He restored me, yes. And they're like, what? Even you? Dude, he called me Satan.
Thank you. Well, and that's one of the beautiful thing about the Gospels. Jesus didn't write them.
Right.
Jesus didn't write the Gospels going, these dudes are idiots. It was the people who were in the stories going, we were idiots the whole time.
Yeah.
And then on the rare times we did say something good, he didn't even give Peter credit. He said, that wasn't you that called me the Christ, the Son of the living God. That was the Spirit. My Father said that. It was, we wrote these stories down making ourselves look like idiots.
Yeah.
It wasn't to make ourselves look like cool, famous dudes. And even in Acts, right? How many times does Paul have to say, I used to kill Christians? I mean, like, there's no pride in this. And so Bob comes to these situations, even though he's got a lot of experience and knows a lot of stuff, but he comes to them humbly and relating and putting himself down on their level. And isn't that what Jesus did when he was born into our world? Like, he came to meet us where we were. And it's such a beautiful thing that Bob does with Anna and then with Siggy.
Yeah. And one of the things before we get to Siggy is, like, in the beginning, he's like, how awesome is it? Your dad's this amazing dude. He's like, it's not great, Bob. That's another movie.
Right.
But that idea, like, and he doesn't say, well, you're wrong and here's why.
Right.
He's like, what? How is it not awesome? Tell me more.
Tell me more.
And so often I will do that, of saying, oh, isn't this awesome how God showed up here? And they're like, well, it's kind of this and that. I was like, but you don't see, like, I keep trying to project my perspective onto them, which is what Leo does. He is controlling. It's about appearance. That he calls a family conference, tells them what to do, and then family conference dismissed.
And they go, no. And he goes, okay, good talk. I'm done. There's no discussion.
Right. And so there's that disconnect, that loss of relatability, that loss of connectedness.
Right.
So Bob's sailing. At the same time, Leo was out with Siggy trying to teach him how to dive. And as I was thinking about what you were saying, Britt, Leo stays on the dock with Siggy trying to teach him how to dive. And jumping away from safety into water is not exactly the way to do it. How much more effective might he have been if Leo had actually gotten in the water,
right,
and say, jump to me?
That's good.
I've got you.
Yeah, I got you. I'll catch you. You won't drown.
And yet in his shock of seeing Bob sailing across the water with his daughter after, they had the family conference where they'd all decide, no, he just said, do this. He dropped Siggy in the water. His life flashed before his eyes, and he's like, you're only 12, so there's not that much life to flash.
No, he calls him a murderer. He goes, murderer.
And in the space, and there's you see Leo and his wife in the cabin. They're saying, and Leo says, in the last hour, both my kids have said they hate me. And meanwhile, you see Bob being invited onto a boat. Leo never would have been invited to go sailing with Anna. And then now we're going to go watch Bob interact with Siggy. And we see what happens. And Bob doesn't even teach him how to dive. Bob's just there sort of along for the ride, just asking questions. And then at the end, we see what sort of Leo actually thinks about all of this.
But with diving, what's the thing? What's the trick?
I don't know. It's supposed to be easy.
Well, can you give me a handle on it? Thanks. Careful. Oh, careful.
Go to the edge.
Careful.
Go to the edge. Come on, toes up. Toes up. To the edge. Don't worry. Come on. Here. Come on.
Let's call this the edge right here.
Okay,
this is
then
the edge.
step up to the edge. Well, then walk up to our edge. Okay. Got you. Now bend your knees. Bend your knees. Very good. So bend your knees and stiff as a board.
I am stiff as a board.
Now lean forward.
All right, just a second. Don't rush it. Just a second. This is my first dive.
Okay. Lean.
Wait, I can't see what you're doing. Will you get in front?
Okay.
All right, careful. Hold it. Wait.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on. Now hold my shirt. I'll show you what we're supposed to do.
I got it.
Okay.
All right.
And bend my knees.
Bend your knees.
Lean forward.
Arms out straight.
Arms out.
Stiff as a board.
Honey, come here, look.
Bend over. All right, I got it. I don't want to have to see this. No, please.
1,
No.
2,
Don't do it, please.
3.
Yeah.
Very nice, Bob. Thank you. I'll take it from here.
You know, that's wonderful. Did you see me dive, Dad? Did you see me dive? I know.
Thank you. Excellent.
Here, watch this. I can do it again.
I'll take it from here.
Did you see that? Here, I'm gonna do it again.
I do.
Watch this, Doug.
Very nice.
It always backfires on him. That's what makes the movie funny. It's sort of that like The Odd Couple and like we talked about earlier, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. Like the desire to get rid of this person, it keeps backfiring, And but like Leo, and I said this I think already on the recording, but Leo, his life is a facade, and you see it. It's a show don't tell moment when he tries to talk to his daughter and he has to use a puppet.
Mm. Yeah.
Like it's just reinforcing this. You're not really communicating. You're not listening. You're not listening.
Safe to connect to communicate directly with me. We have to use puppets because it's not safe.
But anyway, and so he wants it to be about him.
Oh yeah.
But in the process of pushing Bob over into the water, he makes it about Bob.
Right.
Now Bob's the focus of everyone's attention. Yep. It keeps backfiring. And that's the tragedy. And you said it right. It's the tragedy of Leo is since his life is a facade for whatever reason, whatever his fears are, whatever his pride is, he continues to choose that distance, that isolation. So he's isolated too. You just don't see it in the beginning. And because he keeps choosing the isolation, that's all he's left with at the end. That's all he's left with. That's the tragedy. And how do I not do that? That's my question. Like, how do I not be that way?
Well, like you said, it became all about him. It wasn't about Siggy diving. It was him teaching Siggy diving.
Right.
Right. And this idea that I remember listening to somebody who was pastoring a church up in Raleigh, and he was praying for a great move of God. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do a great move, but how are you going to feel if you're not a part of it? Like, do you want me to do a great move, or do you want to do the great move with me? Like, it's a very fine line. You know, this movie is a fine line between a comedy and a horror.
Right.
But you see that, like, his face changes when he sees that Bob's on the deck with his on the deck with
like
his
everyone
son.
else is happy, and his face goes opposite.
I'll take it from here. I'll take it from here. I've got this, Bob.
I've got this. And you talked about moves of God, and I've had the same conversation with people in my church. I've said, what's going to happen when the move of God starts somewhere else? Are we going to join that one? Or does it have to happen here? You know, and what you just described is what a lot of that kills a move of God, because God starts moving and the pastors stand up and go, we'll take it from here. Mm. And that's not how that works. God's not going to let you do that. Right. It'll just kill it. I mean,
because he's like, nope, we got to get our hands around it. We got to control this.
We got to control this.
Put these plans in place. What about childcare? How are they going to eat? All this. And like in this movie, like I was reminded of the story of Nebuchadnezzar. Sure, like that's natural, right? Of course.
No, I like.
But what was Nebuchadnezzar? I mean, he sort of oversaw one of the great wonders of the world with the Hanging Gardens. Like that was his time, I think. Mm-hmm. But and there was a moment, and he was a tool by God to bring the Israelites into exile. Worked with Daniel, so he knew God. You know, he saw the fiery furnace guys. He was before the lion's den thing. So, but there was a moment where he looked at his kingdom and said, "Look at all I have done." And God said, "You fool." And what did he do? He caused him to lose his mind.
He lost his mind.
Because he had opportunity after opportunity.
God warned him several times.
Yeah.
In dreams that disturbed him. We're talking about disturbing and inconvenient. Like it was so disturbing. The one about the statue, the first one.
Yeah.
The first one. It's so interesting. There's a dream about a statue and a piece of a mountain or a mountain breaking away and destroying, sending it to dust. And it disturbs him to the point where he starts asking his magicians and philosophers, and they're like, well, tell us a dream. He goes, no, if you could interpret it, you can tell me the dream. And then he threatens to kill them if they can't tell him. He's like, what good are you if you can't tell me my dream?
Bunch of charlatans.
And Daniel, in order to save these people's lives and to interpret the dream and give Nebuchadnezzar the message is, you think you're building something that's going to last, essentially. But the kingdom of God is all that's going to. God's in control. And here's a slave telling you this. And in the next chapter, he builds a big statue of himself. Like God keeps warning him. And then there's another dream where he's a tree, and God meant for him to be a place of blessing, Yeah. And then because of his pride, he cuts the tree down. Right. And he still doesn't get it. He wouldn't see his place and how Daniel was a gift, how these dreams, these interruptions were meant to correct him and humble him. And to your point, Leo doesn't do it either. Leo doesn't get it.
not when he teaches Siggy how to dive or is there, not when he saves his life, not when there's a lot, because for Leo it was about him.
Right.
And both are true, right? It was about him. He did have something really good to offer.
Right.
Like the stuff that he told Bob was helpful.
Absolutely.
It set him free. It healed him. Bob is transformed, which is why we think it's sort of about Bob. And if you look at Bob's story, it's a comedy. If you look at Leo's story, it's a tragedy because he never lets go. And just like Nebuchadnezzar, God says, all right, well, you're going to lose your mind for a period of years. And, becomes like a donkey, has long hair, long fingernails, eats grass for years. And it's only when he looks back to God that he regains his senses.
Yeah. And then issues some sort of decree that the God of the Jews is the only God.
Yeah.
He's above everyone else. Which, think about the insanity of that statement. You conquered them.
Right.
Which
that's not how it worked in the ancient world.
In the ancient world, when you conquered someone, your God conquered their God.
Mm-hmm.
But Daniel's saying, no, I know you conquered us, but our God is actually the one in charge. He just let you do this.
Right.
Which is an insane thing to say to them in those days, right? In that day and age. And it's the same thing, but it's the same gospel we preach, right? Like, I know you're president, whoever you are, Biden or Trump, but you're not actually the one in charge.
Right. Why do the nations rage?
But no, and yeah, I think I didn't catch that. And I think that's a great point with Nebuchadnezzar. And
I think that goes back to your question is how do we avoid Leo's fate?
Right. Go.
And I think
I'm ready.
What we've seen Bob do is it's never about him. He never cares about looking stupid as he's walking around with a goldfish around his neck, tied to a mast so he doesn't fall overboard with 14 life jackets on. But at the end, what is it? Is to realize that it is God in charge. It's not us. It's like you were saying, it's a move of God, not just in the big revivals or churches or any of this. God moves in our life. And how can we be aware of it on a daily basis? And it's to say, hey, God, you're the one in control.
Right.
You're the God. I have my way of trying to make life work. That's a way that leads to death.
Good. That's choosing the wrong tree. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I want your way, whatever that way is.
Whatever that
knowing
way
that
is.
it is that too is going to lead through death.
Yeah.
But it's the death of all
the death therapy.
Death therapy. Yeah, exactly. It all comes back to death therapy. I guess, that's the answer. It's death therapy.
Well, but I think in addition to what you're saying is how, and this is, I've learned some of this, but I'm still learning it because God's still teaching it in new ways, right? He's not done. I haven't arrived, like Paul said in Philippians, like, not that I've arrived. I'm counting it all loss to know him. I'm counting it all rubbish, but that doesn't mean I've got it all figured out. Again, the humility of realizing I know some stuff, but I don't know it all. He's in charge. But also, how do I see the inconveniences, the annoyances, the frustrations, the obstacles? How do I see them as opportunities? How do I do that? And that's a choice I have to make. I'm not going to naturally do it. I'm naturally going to get pissed off and probably say, God, don't you care? Right? Yeah. I'm probably going to do that.
God, why have you abandoned me?
How do I instead turn my heart and say, okay, God, how is this an opportunity for me to love somebody, to be generous, to be kind, to learn from them instead of being the guy who teaches all the time or whatever. And the Bible says, if you ask for wisdom, it doesn't matter who you are. He gives it generously without discrimination against anybody. If you'll just humble yourself and say, I don't know what's going on. Help me.
And I was just struck by this idea. You had mentioned they're on vacation for a month, but here's another vacation that's not a vacation because it's become all about Good Morning America.
Right.
But what is Bob offering him? Here is what a vacation looks like.
Yeah, good. I love it. I love that. Sure, absolutely.
And it's not about a book. It's not about a podcast. It's about living in, like you said, in community, in relationship with people that are safe. Like Bob made it safe for them to share their fears and their problems. And how can I make it safe for them? Well, by being vulnerable enough to share my own fears and problems and say, okay, well, now what? How do we walk through this together?
Right.
You have something to offer. I have something to offer. And as we move forward in our life, following Jesus, I mean, that's how that's the only way.
Yeah.
Every other way leads to death.
That's right.
And those ways that we sort of hold on to, this isn't what I wanted. We have to say, okay, God, but not what I want.
Good.
But what you want. And to open those hands up and be like, and that, again, that feels like death.
It feels like death, but, right? The promise is if you'll give up your life for me, not just give up your life because you're a sadomasochist.
Yeah.
Right? You don't, not because you enjoy pain. Jesus didn't enjoy pain. He's trying to avoid it. But he was able to say, look, I know the best path is your path.
Yeah.
Even though it might hurt today, show me, help me, help me knowing the joy set before him, not realizing that, think about it. Again, Bob couldn't see the joy. Like he couldn't, think about the prison Leo was in. He couldn't enjoy his son enjoying actually, diving. He couldn't enjoy Anna, having a friend and sailing and having fun. He couldn't enjoy and laugh at Bob going, oh, this is the best food ever. Like he couldn't, like everyone else was laughing and thought it was so fun. And he was just annoyed, right? He couldn't enjoy his life being saved. He couldn't, he was so caught up in the frustration, he couldn't experience joy. And how often do I do that? How often am I so caught up in the frustration of it not working out the way I want it to work out, or I think it should, or there's a problem, or whatever it might be, that I miss the joy that God has for me. Not happiness, but joy that he offers me.
All right. So thanks, buddy, for doing this movie. This was fun.
Thanks for finally doing it.
Yeah. Hey, I've given you plenty of options. You just kept picking the other one. So
I did.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
No. Yeah, I did.
So the more I watched it yesterday, the more I've kind of considered it and connected with it. I think that's what it has to offer is where are you, the listener, where are you in this? Are you Bob or are you Leo? Where do you need to welcome the intervention and release your plans so that you can enjoy life and experience it and let go of your fear and be like, I am scared, but I'm still going to step into this. I'm still going to follow where you're leading, Jesus.
That's right.
So this has been Paul McDonald and Britt Mooney talking about What About Bob? We hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you join us next time here on the Minute the Movies podcast.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?